market sounder, so we won't worry about that for today. But we will go ahead and play the morning report from American Public Radio right now on this edition of First Cup.
This Marketplace podcast is supported by Mozy Cloud Backup. Protect your critical files with maximum security from Mozy Cloud Backup and securely access them anywhere, including your smartphone or tablet. Visit mozy.com to learn more.
That Verizon phone you're probably carrying could soon become a lot less British.
Marketplace Morning Report is produced in association with the University of Southern California.
From 8 p.m. in New York, I'm David Brancaccio with the global perspective on business and economics. There is a simmering deal in the telecom industry that could soon remove a British accent from U.S. phones. Vodafone of Britain owns a chunk of Verizon Wireless, and Verizon of New Jersey would like it back, but would have to pay big money to get it. From the Marketplace European desk in London, Stephen Beard reports.
Verizon has been chafing to buy Vodafone's 45% stake for years. The US company wants the freedom to run its business without deferring to a large secondary partner. Price has been the problem in the past. Verizon wants to pay around $100 billion. Vodafone wants much more. But suddenly the two sides may have good reasons to do a deal. Verizon wants to borrow the money it will need for the purchase now before interest rates rise further. And for its part, Vodafone may be worried about the long-term value of its stake in America's cell phone market. Chris Green is an analyst with the Davies Murphy Group.
There continues to be some uncertainty over the future of mobile phone network revenues in the US as increasing competition and increased consolidation continue in the marketplace.
That competition's already taking its toll. Verizon's share price has fallen 14% since April. In London, I'm Stephen Beard for Marketplace.
And you can hit the numbers music right now. In London, shares in aforementioned Vodafone are up 7.8%. The FT100 index in London is up 0.5%. In Germany, the unemployment rate rose unexpectedly in August, yet the DAX index is up 0.1%. The Dow rose 48 points yesterday, and U.S. stock index futures are up this morning so far. The price of oil dipped today to $109 a barrel and change amid signs military action against Syria might be delayed amid questions in the U.S. Congress and the British Parliament. Rich in antioxidants, low-fat, all-natural, shoppers are seeing more and more health-conscious food labels. One brand trying to ride the wave is Campbell Soup Company, which reports its profits and losses later today. But a green heart check label on its soup cans is now the subject of a class-action lawsuit. Rowan Moore-Garrity has the story.
Aurora de Ines and her husband are looking over labels in the soup aisle at the Super A grocery store.
Yeah, we do try to buy the product that has less sodium.
De Ines always reads the nutrition facts on the back of prepared foods. Even so,
if it says it's healthy, it does catch the eye, you know.
Brands like Progresso and Campbell's have special labeling that's backed by the American Heart Association. But even those soups don't pass the Heart Association standards for low-sodium foods. The lawsuit alleges that misleads consumers.
Consumers expect when you see a heart-healthy label that it's something they can trust is better for them.
Bob Golden is a food industry analyst with Technomic.
The word healthy, natural, I do think they're overused, and they mean different things to different people.
Golden says the key is to make sure consumers don't see nutrition claims as marketing slogans, and that heart healthy means what it says. I'm Rowan Moore-Garrity for Marketplace.
I hesitate to sound like what my grandmother would have called a nudge, but how's it going with your retirement savings, dare I ask? Statistics show that too many people won't have nearly enough, and it's something the slow economic recovery in the United States is not fixing on its own. Marketplace's economics guy, Chris Farrell, has been looking into this. Morning, Chris.
Good morning, David.
First of all, how big is the problem?
I think the problem is huge. Here's a really disturbing number. Only 42% of private sector workers between the ages 25 and 64 have any pension coverage in their current job. And to me, that spells worry.
The idea is we're supposed to be more organized, somehow figure out a way to save for ourselves. But many people are just not in that position. Others are just not that disciplined.
That's right. And we've created tax incentives to get people to participate in their 401k. We've reduced the number of options in a 401k, realizing that too much choice was overwhelming. We have automatic enrollments, which can make a huge difference. Despite all of this, we still don't have enough people saving enough money for their retirement. So What I want to raise with you, David, is the use of a toxic word in Washington, D.C., mandatory savings.
Making people save. They've tried this elsewhere, haven't they, overseas?
Places like Australia, which has a mandatory savings plan. Britain has a brand new retirement savings plan that's focused on moderate income workers. Israel.
What kind of percentages are we talking about? You mentioned Australia.
Okay, so an employer has to set aside 9% of an employee's earnings, and that's on its way up to 12%. And then employees can put voluntarily more into the mandatory retirement savings plan if they like, and it's averaging about 3%, David.
Yet you point out that M word, mandatory, can be toxic in our national capital.
It is toxic in our national capital, but the policy elite is starting to talk about mandatory savings, that we push the limits of the system that we have. And so you have Social Security. Maybe we put an IRA system above that or a 401k system above that. I mean, there's lots of ways that we can do it. So you don't like the term mandatory? You got to come up with something better. The existing system is not working.
Chris Farrell, economics maven of Marketplace. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, David.
And it's been revealed that an outspoken supporter of arming school teachers accidentally shot a teacher. The Arkansas Democrat-Gazette reports the incident involved a rubber bullet during an organized firearms demonstration in Arkansas. There was apparently no permanent damage to the teacher. It happened in December, but not revealed at the time for some reason. The drill in Arkansas had followed the Connecticut school shooting. Arkansas State Senator Jeremy Hutchinson reportedly still supports giving schools the right to decide how to keep their students and staff safe, including the possibility of firearms for teachers. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.
U.S. builds a case against Syria.
There need to be international consequences.
Fort Hood death sentence.
Justice has been served.
School district monitors social networks.
The whole purpose is student safety.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. Momentum for a possible U.S. military strike in Syria has been building all week. Now the world waits for the evidence the Obama administration has gathered on Syria's alleged use of chemical weapons. We're live at the White House with CBS's Peter Mayer.
The White House will brief key members of Congress today on that evidence, Steve. President Obama makes the case for what he describes as a limited, tailored military response to put Syria on notice.
The Assad regime will have received a pretty strong signal that, in fact, it better not do it again.
Mr. Obama told the PBS NewsHour he's still reviewing the options. On CBS this morning, retired Marine General Anthony Zinni said a surgical attack could be risky.
It just can't be a one and done. You can't assume that there isn't anything that's going to provoke another response.
As the U.S. moves closer to military action, the president faces domestic and international resistance.
I'm Vicki Barker. On Capitol Hill, increasingly skeptical Republicans and Democrats pressing the president to make a compelling argument for any military strikes. And in key ally Britain, public opinion 2-1 against. Opposition leader David Miliband noting Brits went to war on incomplete, even faulty intelligence 10 years ago.
I'm determined we learn the lessons of the past, including Iraq.
The British government just said it will reveal some of its intelligence on last week's attack during today's parliamentary debate, but lawmakers may still insist on a second vote after the UN inspectors have finished their job. Steve?
Years of appeals are ahead in the case of Major Nidal Hassan, sentenced to death for the Fort Hood massacre. Kaylee Vanaker's father was among 13 killed in the attack.
This has been a very long and exhausting process. We are tired. We are hurt. But we are resolved. Justice has been served.
I'm August Skamenka at Fort Hood, Texas, where Major Hassan's execution must still be signed off on by the three-star general in charge of this post. That, we're told, could take months. Former Judge Advocate General Jeffrey Korn says at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas,
he's not going to be abused. He's going to be protected, but he's going to be in very, very strict disciplinary confinement.
Korn expects one of the first things they'll do at Fort Leavenworth is forcibly shave the beard the major was allowed to keep at trial.
A Montana judge has apologized for his comments in court, demeaning to women, he called them, but Todd Baugh stands by his decision to send a former high school teacher to prison for 30 days for raping a 14-year-old girl. She later committed suicide, and her mother says now,
My faith in the justice system is gone.
The judge said the victim was older than her chronological age and had as much control of the situation as the teacher who raped her. In London, Kentucky, 48-year-old Ernest Chumbley is facing a murder charge. He tells WKYT-TV he shot and killed his 44-year-old wife because she was suffering from breast cancer.
I just did what she asked.
He says her diagnosis was terminal and she was in pain. The big Yosemite National Park wildfire, now 30% contained. Crews now believe they'll have full containment within a couple of weeks. Some schools in Northern California are closed because of all the smoke. Schools in Minneapolis are closed today and tomorrow because of the oppressive heat wave in the upper Midwest. The school district's Stan Allen feels for some working parents who now need sudden daycare.
We know that it's a challenge for those families, but right now, the best thing to do and the safest thing to do is to stop school for 2 days.
The school superintendent in Glendale, California, says safety is what's behind a district effort to monitor the social media activity of all 13,000 students. Here's CBS's John Blackstone.
School officials hired a company called Geo-Listening to track the students' online posts.
Basically, it just monitors for keywords. If a student is considering harming themselves, harming someone else.
Geo-listening collects information from sites like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, publicly accessible social networks. Geo-listening CEO told CBS News, "We don't monitor private emails, text messages, phone calls, or voicemails." We spoke to one parent who said she hopes it makes teens think twice about what they post.
There's a lot of cyberbullying that I've seen, so I think if the school gets involved, that it's wonderful. It's a win-win.
Yet many teens being monitored say they just don't want grown-ups listening in.
We rebel, so I don't think monitoring us is going to do us any good.
Geo-listening claims it isn't prying into the lives of teenagers, just giving the old-school notion of hall monitor a high-tech twist.
Some consider drones a high-tech invasion of privacy. In part 4 of our series, CBS's Barry Bagnato looks at how they're being used by the military.
The runway here at the Willow Grove Naval Air Station, where military A-10s used to take off and land, has grass growing up through cracks in the asphalt. Doesn't matter. It's not needed for the new mission coming here, controlling remotely piloted aircraft.
You're sitting in a box, flying an aircraft 3,000 miles away.
Colonel Howard Eisler commands the 111th Air Guard Fighter Wing here.
It's going to save a ton of money, and you're not putting the people in as much danger.
This summer, the Navy for the first time landed an unmanned aircraft on a moving carrier. It's X-47B.
A big part of the evolution we're going to see for naval aviation.
Rear Admiral Ted Branch. Protesters call them unethical.
Drones is like the word sweatshops. You know, you just hear it and you think, ugh.
Security experts warn they're vulnerable.
It's possible to just come with the right transmitter and take it over.
Franz Franchetti's Carnegie Mellon team hopes to develop a sensor system resistant to cyber attacks.
It could be pretty bad if one of the drones used in war theaters gets taken over by the enemy.
Barry Bagnato, CBS News, Horsham, Pennsylvania.
Is breakfast at a fast food place on your menu today? Maybe not, thanks to what could be a widespread job action.
I'm Heather Bosch in New York City.
The workers united will never be defeated.
Workers at fast food restaurants here have made good on their threat to walk out. Organizers claim these one-day strikes are happening in 60 cities across the U.S. over low pay.
Who can live with $7.25? Nobody can, especially here in the city.
Glenda Soto works at McDonald's.
It's hard, especially when you have kids like I have 4 children.
Protesters want $15 an hour. The industry has said workers are well compensated for what are often entry-level jobs.
How'd you sleep last night? CBS's Jim Chenevey looks at the latest study on what some of us take before we go to bed.
If you have trouble getting enough sleep, you have plenty of company. A new CDC study finds nearly 9 million U.S. adults are so desperate for shut-eye, they resort to prescription sleeping pills. And experts say there are many millions more who opt for over-the-counter medicines, supplements like melatonin, or chamomile tea. Overall, about 4% of adults say they've taken a prescription sleeping pill or sedative in the previous month, and most were white, female, educated, and age 50 or older. Jim Chenevey, CBS News.
When Texas A&M plays Rice to open the college football season on Saturday, Heisman Trophy winning A&M quarterback Johnny Manziel will be on the sidelines. Johnny Football, as he's known, was suspended for the first half of the first game by the NCAA for accepting money for signing autographs. That's the World News Roundup for Thursday. I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Dear parents, much of what we learn in this world comes directly from you.
Whatever your message is, it will become part of us forever.
Please teach us to accept one another. Teach us to respect one another.